Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the SVT podcast. I am with my guys, Sam LeCure and Vince Contronio. No ones and twos today. How you guys doing today?
I'm good, man.
For those of you who don't know, Vince Contronio is obviously the A's radio and sometimes television. And Sam LeCure is the Padres radio play-by-play. So, you know, I had to get my two teams in there to start off the show here. So
fair enough.
This week, we got a doozy. So you're probably listening on Friday going, what the hell happened to Tuesday? Well, we all got sick thanks to the wonderful cold that's going around, but not Vince.
Not Vince. No.
Somehow Vince is the bubble boy and just avoided it all. But this week we are discussing our predictions for the Super Bowl. I think it's quite evident who I might be picking. We'll be touching base into the craziness that was the the NBA trade deadline. And we got a little quick wrap up here for the old Wrexham fans here. So without further ado, there's no scores. So I guess we'll just jump into what Vince may be having going here for our picks for the Super Bowl.
All right. So if you'll be patient with me for just a hot second. Okay, here we go. All righty. So the game kicks off at 3:30 p.m. on Sunday. Eagles are the home team. Chiefs are the visitors. And Tyler, who are you picking to win? Let me guess. It starts with an E and ends with Eagles.
Yep, that's my team, Bagels.
Yep. There we are, the Bagels. All right. That's pretty straightforward. I think we all knew that was going to happen. You're wearing an Eagles hat as we speak right now. Sam, let's actually quickly go over our points right now. Sam is actually in the lead, 14 points. Tyler has 13. I'm further back with 9. But the picking the winner correctly for the Super Bowl is worth 8 points. So nobody's eliminated yet. Sam, are you gonna? What are you doing? How are you playing this?
I'm going with the Eagles, man.
You're going to go with the Eagles. You're going to make sure that Tyler doesn't win. I appreciate the hustle. So
it's
either way,
I really just think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, the best player. But Philadelphia is just deeper. They're the better team. So I just think the odds are the better team is going to win, make less mistakes.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And because for the purposes of this game, I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win. That being said, I'm probably rooting for the Eagles. And I mean, at this point, my only chance at winning this little game is if the Chiefs win. So that's why I'm doing it. I'm not actually
rooting on a personal level. You're rooting for the Eagles.
Yeah.
As a Niner fan, that just
I mean, I'm whatever, man. I'm kind of indifferent if I'm being honest. I really just want some good football, and just to support my boy Tyler here, I'm gonna pick the Chiefs, but I'm gonna root for the Eagles.
Gotcha.
I feel like he's doing it because I'm the nicest Eagles fan he's ever met. So there's kind of this.
No, I know one other Eagles fan who's
nicer
really
than me.
Nice. No, not nicer. He's nice though. Yeah,
is his name Juan?
No. Shout out Kai King. What's up, buddy?
Juan Eagle fan.
I don't want to rain on your parade of your pick here, but they massacred my boy again. Rocky Balboa has a Chiefs jersey on, and not just any jersey, but they have Kelsey's jersey on. Will they not learn? Have they not seen what we do when you do this to us?
I don't know that they actually. I don't know that a Chiefs fan actually did it. I think it's somebody else just trying to rile you guys up. I'm gonna get a little tinfoil hat here, a little tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. I don't think it was a Chiefs fan that did this. They've seen what happens, and I don't even think a Niners fan did it. I'm gonna go that far. I think it's an Eagles fan trying to rile some shit up, trying to stir the pot, trying to I don't know, man. Like, I just don't think that actually happened from a Chiefs fan. I think I said what I think. I think it's a conspiracy, man. It's the man trying to do the thing, man.
Wow.
Hey, the last time we went into a Super Bowl and the opposing team put a jersey on Rocky Balboa, Tom Brady did not win a Super Bowl. So Just saying, it hasn't failed yet, but they always play on Sundays, right? So we'll see. But I like my odds here.
Fair.
Speaking of the Pats here, are we diving into this? We pulling this Band-Aid off here?
No, actually, I just wanted to ask real quick about the Pro Bowl games first. Did you guys get a chance to watch? And what did you think?
I'll put it this way. Okay, I didn't sit and watch the whole thing. I think we were coming back from Southern California or something of that nature.
Okay.
So I didn't get to sit and watch the whole thing, but I like the way they did it this year because it was segment after segment of different mini games. So I was able to watch them on YouTube, which I thought was kind of cool that they were able to break that up. There were some that I'm like, this is pretty dumb. Like the greatest or the spectacular catch one, that was kind of dumb. But the other ones I thought they were kind of interesting. I did like quite a few of them. I think this is probably a good format that's going to stay. They'll probably change some games in and out here, but I think it's a great format.
Yeah. Sam, did you get a chance to look at it?
No, I heard a lot about it though. I heard some people like really hated it. And then some people like really loved it. Like some people were hella into it. Like people in the industry, the talking heads, like some people were really excited. It was a lot of fun.
Were they paid to be excited about it?
I don't know, man. But a lot of people hated it.
Yeah.
It felt like,
I have not seen, other than the Derek Carr stuff. He threw a pick six, dude. That was hilarious. I know I've been falling on the sword for Derek Carr and a lot of things, but I criticize Derek Carr quite a bit, but what's going on separately, how he was treated. I think, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. But him like, they were, Derek Carr, you won the skills competition. Oh, you were on fire. And he was like, oh, I should have, if I would have been that good, I would still be here. It was just that pick six was hilarious.
It felt like they took the format of hockey in the sense of, 3 teams, and then those 2 teams go against each other type of deal. How the All-Star does for the hockey, where it's like smaller teams, 3 on 3
I would
teams.
Watch the home run derby is you get a pro versus like a kid, and you make the field a little smaller. And like a little T-baller is like has to hit homers.
Yeah, that's how you find Big Al, like 12 years old, just I hit dingers.
Dude. That would be fun. I would be entertained to watch that one again if that was a scenario. I still think the Olympics should have a regular average Joe that competes with the Olympians, just so we could see the disparity between people and the Olympians.
Yeah, it might be fun. Yeah, I'd be down to be the archery guy.
Like 25 random Americans that were just grabbed off the street, like,
or whoever the host country is. Yeah, just grab some randos,
and then they have to grab 25 randos off their street.
That'd be so much fun.
You give them a couple of grand to like participate and make a fool of themselves and just to try really hard and do their best. I'll tell you what, I'm definitely not going to be on the rings as a gymnast. I'll tell you that. Your boy already has bad shoulders, and I'm not lifting 300 pounds.
Remember that Got Milk commercial?
His arms popped off.
But Mr. Gabrielson never drinks his milk, and he's as strong as a bull.
It makes me think of like old school when like Vince Vaughn like has the cigarette, but he's still doing the gymnast routine. So stupid.
So good.
I would love it. I would love it so much. Okay.
Yeah, I think the Pro Bowl. I haven't seen it. I should check out some clips and see it.
Yeah, I missed out on most of it as well. I just wanted to see what
did you at least see how they did the actual flag football games, the meat and potatoes of it?
I saw diddly squat about that.
I didn't see anything.
I just wanted to know if you guys did.
So now I know why you look so confused me when I said it was like NHL. So the way they did it this year was that it wasn't, a full team against a full team. It was only like 4 or 5 guys. Right? Yeah, I think it was sevens. Yeah, but then if let's say the NFC won, right, then they would go to play somebody else of the winner of the next game of the AFC NFC.
They like split up like the AFC and the NFC squads into like mini squads, is what you're saying.
And then they had multiple games, which that to me remind me of hockey, where they do the 3-on-3 and they play multiple games.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Pro Bowl games. They'll probably do it again next year. I'm sure there was enough positive feedback, and they learned what did go well, what didn't go well, and I'm sure they'll make their tweaks. So,
breaking news: Justin Jefferson, Offensive Player of the Year. Would you guys like to guess who the Defensive Player of the Year is?
Confederate Bosa.
Confederate Bosa, it is.
Yeah. All right. Sacking quarterbacks and then picketing school lunch lines or something. I don't know. He's
the South
for being too communist.
Good old MAGA Bosa.
Yeah.
All righty. Are we pulling this Band-Aid off?
Let's do it. Let's do it. The news has already been out for most people at this point, but we need to. We're not doing our job if we don't at least mention it, right?
Yeah. Old man Brady finally retires. I think I'm gonna put an asterisk next to it because the month is still young.
It still feels real this time. It feels more real.
Did you see that he did the video saying that he was gonna retire on some random beach? Mm-hmm. Somebody went to the beach and collected the sand, and it's selling for like $90,000 on eBay.
You know what? It's stupid, but also I'm just pissed off that I couldn't do it myself. Like I would love to get 100 racks for just a jar of sand, you know. But if you can get it, good for you. But also fuck you, because that's so stupid. It's just dumb.
It makes me think of that streamer that she sold her bathwater and people actually bought it.
That's even worse. Oh.
Getting back on track here. So Tom Brady will begin his 10-year Fox broadcast next year. It's funny because he threw so many people off this retirement that even Fox was like, we didn't know he was going to retire. He's not be part of the Super Bowl media relations for us. We didn't even know he was going to call it a quit.
He's taking a gap year is what's happening.
Yeah.
Try to mend some fences, I guess, before jumping into the booth.
I saw that listening to Can BR the other day, and they actually had Tom Brady Sr. on.
Ooh.
Oh,
and it was actually a really good interview because Papa was asking Senior, like, is your son going straight to the booth? Is he gonna? What's he gonna, and the dad was like, I really couldn't tell you, like, I really don't know. And some stuff he was being really honest about. And, a lot of talk about the Raiders, Patriots, the fumble, the tuck, so it was really interesting. And then they started talking about, the broadcast booth, where is he going to take Olsen's job, or are they going to, is it a 3-man booth? What is Tom Brady's role? Because he's going to bring a media audience, dude. Like, you're talking, he's probably instantly the pressure is on. Is he going to be a good color analyst? Because look at the pressure that Tony Romo is under right now. Like, a lot of people are not happy with Tony Romo calling plays or doing color commentary.
Why? I don't understand.
Oh, because he hasn't gotten better, I guess.
Yeah. No, there's been quite a few things where he's just not interested in what he's doing. Like, so it's not that he doesn't know football. He just seems disengaged.
Well, I will say Olsen's done a terrific job. I think
he's getting great reviews.
He reminds me a lot of when Romo first came onto the scene for a commentator. So I think he's got, as long as he followed that kind of footprint, I think that's what fans are interested in. If you're able to, like, you don't have to predict every single play, but just give the common Joe some insight as to what you see out there. I think people love that. They eat that shit up.
Yeah,
totally. Speaking of retirement, AJ Green, after 12 years, he's retiring. He was on the Cardinals this past season, the past couple of seasons. When he was on in Cincinnati with Andy Dalton, he was fucking on. Like, he was breaking all kinds of records and stuff, man. Like, he was great for fantasy. He was great for real life. Yeah, he was incredible when he was at his peak, and best of luck, bud.
Yeah. No,
I think his last
amazing.
touchdown was against the 49ers.
Yeah, it happens. You play the Cardinals twice a year, so yeah. Sometimes things like that happen. I'll tell you what, Mark McGwire never hit one of his 70 home runs against the A's, but that's because he didn't play him.
Ooh.
So same with Sammy Sosa that same year. So, scheduling. He was due to score his last touchdown against somebody. I'll take, I would have predicted it would have been against somebody in the division for sure. If you give me those odds.
Are the Raiders kicking the tire on the next player or players?
I don't know. There's a lot of talk about Aaron Rodgers to the Raiders.
Yeah, he's got to go on his vision quest first.
He's
his dark
blackout,
his blackout quest or whatever. He's gonna be
so stupid.
High on ayahuasca for 4 fucking days in complete darkness, so he can properly hallucinate. God damn, he is a walking punchline, man. He's a stereotype. He's a cliche of himself. Like, that's what it is at this point. He's not even real. He's just doing what's the most Aaron Rodgers fucking thing I can do. And he does it. And goddamn, fucking throw Rogan, man. I swear to God, this guy.
So tell me how you really tell me how you really feel. Yeah, he went to Berkeley. That's perfect. Yeah, he smokes weed.
Yeah,
he's a free thinker. What is more Berkeley than that?
Not being an idiot.
Well, speaking of Berkeley,
most of the people coming out of Berkeley are smarter.
Speaking of Berkeley, the Chargers are likely to cut Keenan Allen, Berkeley, and then Gerald Everett as well. So that's why I was saying, are the Raiders kicking the tires on Keenan
Allen? Maybe.
I mean, he's
in your division.
I mean, I think it depends on. It depends on what type of quarterback I think the Raiders can get, and are you going to trade? Are you trading Waller? Are you trading Renfro? They weren't available as much as we hoped for last year.
But Rogaine Renfro had a lot of unforeseen injuries.
He had a concussion, and after that fumble, he had that concussion. And then Waller was dealing with some injuries. He came back and then got injured almost immediately. And then, there was a couple of games there where Waller was healthy and Renfro was healthy and Devontae Adams. And, they were able to, you got flashes of how the offense can operate if everything was there. I don't think that's an excuse, because there were times that, they looked out of sync, and that's why I think the quarterback is not coming back. Is the offense can never find sync for long stretches. So I think it kind of depends on if they get rid of Waller or Renfro, then they're going to be in a wide receiver market. What are they going to do with the draft pick? Are they going to have to get rid of that to get a quarterback or a veteran quarterback? So. Yeah, I think the Raiders, we don't really know what they're going to do at this point, because they need a lot of defense too. I mean, they need all the defensive help they can get.
There's a lot of places to fill in the roster for the Raiders for sure at this point.
Yeah. Offensively, I mean, they got the skill positions. I'd be looking at offensive line. I'd be looking at defense, obviously.
Well, Jacobs could walk as well, though.
He came back and he said today that today being the 9th here, he said that he's really interested in wanting to come back to the Raiders and rebuild what they got going on there.
Okay, cool. But I mean, he still could walk. I mean, just because he wants to come back doesn't mean he will.
True.
They're gonna have to make a legit offer.
For sure.
He's
no hometown discount.
And for a running back, this is probably his one payday.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. If you're a running back, get your bag.
You got to get everything right now.
Get every penny you can, because that's the position that the money dries up faster than any other position.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if he gets it and he comes back to the Raiders, I'm gonna be stoked. I'll be really juiced that he comes back. I know he's gonna come back possibly with a really big cap number. But I'd rather have him here than not. You know, I actually hope they keep the skill positions together. I actually really hope they keep the wide receiver core together. I hope they keep, Jacobs. I actually think that looks really good. I think they need 2 offensive linemen, like, to really build out that unit. And then you got to find out what they're going to do with the quarterback.
I think if
just
you guys
hope they
land
don't do
your
the Jimmy
quarterback,
G
though,
route. I just really hope the Jimmy G route doesn't happen. I
if
don't
you
know.
if you land a quarterback, I think if you get a quarterback that makes sense for you guys, you got to help out Crosby. I think you got to help out on that end. I think that's
absolutely.
where your first pick is
I
going to go.
could see a Jimmy G situation.
Yeah,
I could actually see that because, like, I think he would still get a bag. He would get paid, but I don't think it would be. I think you could probably sign him to like a 2-year deal, a 3-year deal, and pay him up front, and then kind of, make it more cap friendly after the first year or 2 years. And he might be a bridge quarterback. You might try to draft somebody this year with that 7. Or maybe you pair the 7 and a Darren Waller and you move up and you get your quarterback of the future. Because then if that quarterback is sitting for a year to pick up this so-called very difficult offense that McDaniels has, you sit him for a year, then you move off of Jimmy, and then now your second year quarterback is ready to go, and then you have the cap room to build out the defense. I don't know. It's just the quarterback situation in Las Vegas and San Francisco is just extremely interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Well, speaking of quarterbacks here, there is a report that the Ravens and Lamar Jackson are $100 million apart on contract negotiations. I think they'll get the deal done. I think they got the glimpse of what it's like without Lamar. It's not a bright future. So
what are you talking about? They had Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get it out. What the hell was Tyler Huntley doing at the Pro Bowl? Like, goddamn.
Oh. We were trying to figure that out with a couple other buddies where we're like, there wasn't anyone else available. Like, no offense to Huntley, I mean, congratulations that you made it, but I get, okay, so what's his name for the chart? Herbert was going through surgery, right? So he's hurt. Allen declined to go play golf. Mahomes is in the Super Bowl. So there wasn't anyone else? There wasn't any other quarterbacks?
In defense of Huntley, yeah, maybe he's not a Pro Bowler, but it's not his fault. And this is what happens when you have an event that's in the past was supposed to be important, and it was supposed to be a really big deal that you were named to the Pro Bowl. And because it affected how, you're looked at as a Hall of Famer, and, he went to 12 Pro Bowls and 13 seasons, it's like part of the resume. And they watered down the product by making it a flag football game. So it's not his fault, so you can't, not you, but the world, we can't complain that, he made the Pro Bowl when it's the bar is no longer there when it's a flag football game, to be real,
That's also fair. Yeah.
It's like, if you want to, now the high honor is, was he an all pro, right? The all pro team, whether that's because they're not playing the game. So that him being a Pro Bowler, to me now, what that means is like he, in whatever given year, maybe he's probably not the best of the quarterbacks, but the best are probably playing in the Super Bowl, or they went deep. So you're going to have these injuries. And since you're not really playing a real game, why would you have, your Pro Bowl quarterback running around doing a show when he has surgery on the way, or he's going to need some type of recovery? Like, go home, relax, dude, because it's not even a real game. We watered it down, and I know some people really loved it, but that's what we did. The NFL did this. The NFL did this to itself. So
yeah, I mean, they're trying to solve a problem that's always been a problem, and I don't know that there's a way to solve it. I mean, I don't know that the Pro Bowl games is the answer. They're going to try it again next year. But
I have it on now, and I think the big hit was the skills competition. Everybody was really into the skills competitions, and not so much the game.
I'll tell you what, that probably rings true with every All-Star event.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, you look at the home run derby, you look at the 3-point shooting contest. Hell, at the NHL game, I mean, we're talking, the fastest skater and hardest slap shot and like those kind of events. Like that's the stuff that draws more than the game itself, I think. At least it's more exciting.
I had one issue with one of the mini games that they had for the Pro Bowl that didn't make any sense to me that I watched. And it was like 7 guys try to hit a golf ball the farthest. What does that have to do with football at any capacity? I have
Who's
no
ready
idea.
for retirement?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see
I watched it. I was like,
right
this
now
is
I have it
dumb.
on. I have it on right now because I never seen anything from it. And the skills competition portion I'm on is kickers and punters. And they're just like doing silly stuff. And now they got the long snapper.
He killed, bro. I don't understand how he
has
did
to
it.
Turn the tiles or something.
Dude, he launched that thing like 60 yards. You got to think about it because he throws it back and up.
So I think this is kind of cool. This is kind of fun. But the game, I think, is just so. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to be a Pro Bowler. It just means like you're good. You're a professional. You're professional at your job, and
it means a little bit extra cash from that contract.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a bonus. This is a bonus for the guys being really good employees. They get some screen time. Maybe it leads to some commercials and marketing, and so they're good for them. Make your money. Because you know what? Tyler Huntley is not going to get next year, he's not getting a bag to start for the Raiders or the 49ers or what insert team. He's not going to be signed as a starter. So whatever bonus he got, respect.
Totally. We make fun of it, but absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, from one guy making some money to another guy restructuring his money, Cowboys are planning to restructure Zeke, and they're going to franchise tag Pollard. Pollard. It depends on what part of the South you're from. So I think that Pollard.
You're the first. That's the first time I've ever heard it pronounced like that. I'm just going to throw that out there. I think
hey, sir, I'm in the A chair, sir.
I'm sorry.
I am in the A chair.
I need you to hear me.
Stay in the B chair.
I need you to hear me. You're being weird.
I'm just saying. If it was 1-on-1, Juan's winning. So now, I think that he missed out on a great opportunity. Do I blame Fred Warner? No, but it was an unfortunate event that Fred Warner is the reason why he's probably not going to get a bag this summer. So that's unfortunate, but I think it's a great deal for the Cowboys. They're getting, if he can come back and play exactly how he played this year after the injury, I'll power to him. I think they got a great 1-2 combo with Zeke being the chain mover and Pollard being the featured running back if they want to go that way. Pollard, depends on what part of the South you're from.
Pollard.
Insurance or insurance?
Pollard.
If you're listening to this, Mr. Pollard, we apologize.
We apologize.
God damn it. All right, I can't stay mad at you.
So moving on to the next subject here. Brock Purdy is to have his UCL repair cert. Why am I reading that all wrong? His UCL is going to get repaired on February 22nd. They say he's going to be ready by training camp.
And that's because they're doing the repair and not the replace.
Right.
We had talked about that last time. The repair is a few months. A replacement, that's the one that's 14 months if you're an MLB pitcher, probably 10 months or so if you're anybody else.
I guess the blueprint, if you're going to look at Brock Purdy, is just look at Josh Allen. I mean, he had the same surgery and he came back stellar, this year. So I think there's bright horizon for the 49ers. I know the quarterback situation seems kind of bleak at this time, but don't worry.
I would actually, George
bright.
Kittle actually said that Brock Purdy's earned the right to start to be the starter going in.
Exactly where I was
going.
going.
And so it sounds like Brock Purdy's going to be the guy.
Have the tables have turned? It wasn't that long ago that he was wearing a Jimmy G shirt every single day in the locker room supporting his boy.
Yeah.
So
George is going to cape up for whoever his QB1 is, because he's a team first person, and
hold on,
and that means first team as well.
There was, if I'm not mistaken, didn't something come out in the paper yesterday or a couple days ago about Mr. Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy G having this huge falling out?
Oh yeah,
possibly Jimmy could have played against the Eagles and he chose not to play. Yeah, he chose to be inactive. There's speculation out there that Jimmy G was medically cleared to play, and something he didn't want to play. And there's been some screenshots of him grinning on the sidelines, and
we saw him smiling, cheesing on the sideline.
And then Kyle Shanahan, I don't know if you guys listened to the year-end press conference, and they asked Kyle Shanahan, is there any chance that Jimmy G comes back because of the injuries? Would you come back with the same quarterback room and all that? And he said, under no circumstances is Jimmy Garoppolo going to be a 49er. It was stone cold.
No, he was definitely firm in that assessment that Jimmy's gone. And that's why I mean, we kind of knew Jimmy was going to be gone even before hearing these.
But you would think it would be in the last year, it was Jimmy's a professional. He's a really good quarterback, and but we drafted Trey and we got to move on, and then they brought him back, and then it was to get him at this deal, at this bargain, and what better quarterback to take over, and he's a good football player. He was getting roses and flowers even on the way out last year, and now this year it's the door can't hit you soon enough. It just seems like that conference and the speculation coming out of there, and Kittle just moving on.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of fire where that smoke is. I mean, I'm certainly wouldn't be surprised to hear if that was the case. But
how would that, in this hypothetical, how would that make you feel if Jimmy Garoppolo was medically cleared and healthy, but chose not to in this NFC Championship game?
I don't know. If he would have come in instead of Josh Johnson is what you're what you're angling toward. Yes. I think the Niners would have had a better chance to win for sure. But that being said, this would have been his first game probably, because I don't think he would have been playing the game before against the Cowboys. So, I mean, this would have been his first game action since getting injured. And I mean, with Jimmy, we talk about good Jimmy versus bad Jimmy, and I think that the Eagles were set up at this point to really capitalize on bad Jimmy things happening. So I don't know how much it would have changed the script. It would have been a closer game. It would have been a little bit more entertaining, I think. But in the end, I don't know that it would have made the difference.
Yeah.
Let
me rephrase the question to this then: is if a player is medically cleared to play but chooses not to, because they're possibly going to be a free agent,
that's where I'm playing the devil's advocate. Is I think that Jimmy, it's his first game back off of the foot surgery.
Yeah.
Leg, just somewhere in the leg.
Lower leg. Lower body. We're just going to go hemispheres, lower and upper.
I think he made a financial decision, honestly. What happens if he re-injures that foot and aggravates it and has to be out again for another 4 or 5 months? He's not going to be able to get paid to play anywhere. He's not going to pick up a contract anywhere. I think he made a financial decision, and we say all the time, go get your money. You only have such a short lifetime in whatever professional sport you're playing. Go get it. If that was a scenario and that was a situation and that's what him and his agent talked about, I have no problems with it, honestly.
Yeah, man, it's a hard situation because I totally agree with you. And we don't ever get mad at the franchises for cutting a player, or trading a player, or just somehow getting rid of a player for whatever reason. Cancel the contract, get him out of here, right? We can't pay this. Some of our favorite players are released before really bad years of financial kick in, right? They get fired and we put it to a different team or they restructure the deal. And at the same time, players, we just talked about the running backs, like getting the most money they can because their shelf life is so short. But at the same time, it's as much as I respect that, I also can you imagine being the backup quarterback and you come in the NFC Championship game and you sling 5 touchdowns and you win the game, and you're probably starting the Super Bowl and you somehow win the game. I mean, remember the Washington Redskins, their quarterback, the backup quarterback came in and won the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm blanking on his name because it was just totally, that was.
Well, you could
that
go.
That happened to the Eagles too.
I was to say, yeah, you can go more recent. You can go with Big Dick Saint.
I mean, that's like fucking heroic. You know what I mean? Like I get it. If that was me, the only, and I'm not mad at Jimmy. If that's his decision, I get it. But me, if I'm in that position, and I'm not a world class athlete, in case anybody doesn't know, I would have wanted to play. If I was healthy, I would have tried to play, especially in that situation, because if you lose, you got, you're not going to take the excuse, but you didn't play for how many weeks? You're coming off an injury, a really fast defense that gets after the quarterback. He would have had every excuse in the world to suck, but if he would have won, you're like, Jimmy eats for free, like now.
Yeah, if
so
only
I would have played, I guess, but I get it. I get your point, and
yeah, I think I probably would have played too in this situation, but I'm also not going to hold any grudges. Exactly. Jimmy got us to a Super Bowl. He's had come from behind victories as well.
Yeah.
I'm not. What can I say? I mean, we love Jeff Garcia. Jeff Garcia didn't do shit, for the Niners. He won one playoff game basically. Like it was he won a couple of them, but like he had one comeback game like against the Giants that they were down massive and they ended up winning in the wild card round. So, and Alex Smith had one like massive comeback and like back and forth shootout game against the Saints. So, like all these quarterbacks, we put a lot of pressure on them as Niners fans because we want the next Steve Young or the next Joe Montana, but nobody's those guys. Those guys are Hall of Famers for a reason. And I mean, the guys that perform and, give us a game or a couple of games, I appreciate them for, really trying. So
let me ask you a follow-up question as a 49er fan. Is the 49ers didn't get to the Super Bowl this year.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say they don't get to the Super Bowl next year. When at some point, when does the seat get hot for Kyle?
It doesn't. Not anytime soon. No. I'm saying not next year.
He doesn't make the playoffs next year. That seat's not hot.
If he doesn't make the playoffs next year, he's not getting fired.
No, but is the seat hot?
No, I don't think so. I think Kyle Shanahan is going to be the coach for the 49ers. Like as long as Bill Belichick is the coach for the Patriots, like we're looking at, he's going to be the 49ers head coach for 20 years. Okay.
And I thought Andy Reid was going to be my lifetime head coach. And look what happened.
I mean, he ended up not winning the Super Bowl. Sure. And I get where you're angling at there. I see your eyes. I'm saying it's different because the Eagles fan base and the Niners fan base is different. The cities, the press is different. It's a different type of pressure that the seat for the 49ers is not going to be, it takes longer to heat up is what I'm trying to say. The seat is longer to heat up. He's not going to be on the hot seat next year, no matter what happens. I mean, let me rephrase that. If he's anywhere near 500 or better, he's fine. He's staying. He's too good of a coach for the 49ers to fire because Jed has gone through like split decision firings and hirings, and he's seen that it doesn't work. Stability is the better route to go.
If he's not a playoff team next year, then the year after he makes the playoffs, so then the next year he's like, if you're the Bengals under Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, he stuck around for 15 years. That's the example that I'm citing here.
Okay.
Like Marvin Lewis was there for fucking ever, and and he didn't do nearly what Kyle Shanahan has done. So yeah, Kyle Shanahan is here to stay for the long term. He's not going anywhere.
That Cincinnati missed out on was when Carson Palmer blew out his knee.
Exactly.
That Cincinnati team was, I don't know, man. We don't know what would have happened, but that team was badass. I'm just kind of surprised that you have.
I have Kyle Shanahan sticking around for a long, long time.
I want to jump on this.
I will
real
be
quick.
shocked if he's fired.
The window for your team.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the players. We're looking at, I'll throw Bosa in there too. He had that catastrophic knee injury as well too. So, Debo, all your guys are getting to the age where like they're in their prime now. They need to win now. That window is getting closer and closer to being smaller and smaller.
He got 3 Final Fours in the last 4 years. So he's certainly getting them into the position to win. The players just aren't quite getting the job done. So that's, they're getting close. They're just not quite getting it over the finish line. So that's not I'm not ready to throw Kyle Shanahan under the bus because he didn't win a Super Bowl, one of the hardest fucking trophies to win. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's an excellent coach. He's not going anywhere. I'm done. I'm done with the conversation. I'm ready to move on. I don't care if you're in the A chair. We're moving on to Derek Carr and the Saints. What's going on there, Sam?
Wait. Hold on. I'm not done yet.
No,
I'm not done yet.
I'm
not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'm in the A chair, sir. So, okay. You're saying, okay, you're with him. I get it. I fully get it. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think there's nepotism involved with daddy being up in the office?
No, actually there is not, because there is, but let's say he's actually did go and earn it. He wasn't allowed to coach with his dad until he put together a top 5 offense on his own first. So his name got him into the interview room, but he has absolutely worked his ass off to become a head coach and to become this great offensive mind that we know he is. And he only started coaching with his dad after he put together his own elite offense without the help of his father.
Well, so yeah, I'm not talking about his merits of being. I think he's a great head coach. Honestly, I think he is. But do you think that he's not going to be on the hot seat because dad's up in the front office? That's more unlikely because dad's out there.
No, I mean he's not even really doing anything. He's
Mike
he's
just
hanging out.
Doesn't really do anything.
Exactly. Mike Shanahan's not doing jack squat. He's hanging out. That's all he's doing. It's not that's not what's going to keep him there. What's going to keep him there is that he's going to keep putting together fantastic teams that are going to be at least 500 on their worst and competing for a Super Bowl at their best. So he's not going anywhere. Are you satisfied? Can we move on?
I am now.
To Derek Carr?
I am now.
I think a lot of it sounds like just a few years ago, right? John Gruden signed this 10-year deal, which basically meant he was in charge of building it, and if he needed to, he could tear it down and rebuild it. I mean, that's a sense. 10 years. That's like
he did
3-4 tear downs and rebuilds. Like when you look at 10 years of an NFL franchise, like things move so much. Like maybe the quarterback stays the same, but so many people are in and out. Running backs gone, wide receivers gone, linebackers gone, D linemen gone. Like those guys are moving every year. The roster is like, a third new.
Oh yeah. It churns,
so
well, all you had to do was delete an email and not be racist, but that's for another conversation. Jump into it. Let's just do it. I'm ready to dive deep now. Vince has already cannonballed in. I guess I'll follow up. So follow us up here with Derek Carr visiting the Saints. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a good move for the Saints. I'd actually be kind of interested in seeing that. They got a good defense. Dennis Allen was a coach of the Raiders, and I think he was in a tough spot. He was a first-time head coach. he couldn't figure out the offense, but he didn't really have
Wait,
offensive
Dennis
players.
Allen's a first-time head coach?
When he was with the Raiders, he was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about the Saints. I was like, what?
No,
okay.
It's his second time now.
Gotcha.
But I think he's a good head coach. He's a better head coach now than he was with the Raiders. And they got some weapons offensively, and I think with a conservative offense, you don't try not to turn the ball over. I think with the offense, and you're bringing back Taysom Hill, so you got these like weird little packages you can do, and he's shown to be a great football player. They could be a lot of fun to watch if they added a quarterback like Derek Carr. They got a good defense. That division wasn't really out of reach for them. They were right there.
8 and 9 got the job done.
Yeah, they were right there. So, I mean, can Derek Carr make you 3 games better? I mean, he might. He might. And I think it'd be an area, he has some familiarity.
Wait, are you saying you don't believe in Taysom Hill, the quarterback?
No, I don't. No.
Again,
he's a cute little story.
It's a cute little gimmick.
Or wide receiver or tight end. Which one?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Get his money though. Like he comes in, score a touchdown, celebrate, and like
he got.
So I would totally want that job too. So
Sean Payton got him paid, and now he's about to go play with Sean Payton in Denver. That's my prediction. It's happening. Taysom Hill, they're gonna trade. They're gonna get him. Denver, watch.
Oh, you know what? I think Denver. He is tearing that motherfucker to the studs. I think over the next year. So when Sean Payton went to the Saints, he annihilated that roster. I mean, I don't think a single player came back. From when Sean Payton took over, I don't think he brought a single player back. It was one of the biggest roster turnovers for a first-time coach. Like he cleaned house, and he got that team a Super Bowl. So, and they were competitive for a long time. And he even survived that suspension. Remember, he got suspended.
That's right.
And then came back and was competitive again. So I don't know. I think Denver, he's going to tear it to the studs and rebuild it. And I think the Denver Broncos 5 years from now, I think could be really good. I think they're going to be competitive.
I think so too.
They're going to be competitive, but it's 5 years from now, Denver could be badass.
All right, boys. Well, we're going to get into the NBA here. I'm just going to go ahead and rally off the trades. I know we got a lot of news going on. I'll save the pertinent information to the end. There's quite a few trades. Today was the last day of the NBA trade deadline, which officially ended at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So going off the top of the order here for today, Dario Saric to OKC, Bones Highland to the Clippers, Matisse Thybulle to the Blazers, Josh Hart to the Knicks, Pat Bev to the Magic, Mo Bamba to the Lakers, Westbrook to Utah, Sadiq Bey to Atlanta. Those are the moves that happened today. Although Westbrook, I think, was yesterday, but still, that is the craziness that happened there. Now time for the big crazy news that we have going on. We'll go off the bat here. Kyrie Irving was traded to Dallas. Shortly after that, which, again, I'm upset about this Kyrie Irving trade because Spencer Dinwiddie was in the trade to get Kyrie Irving. Then the Nets traded Kyrie Irving for Spencer Dinwiddie and some draft picks. Doesn't make any sense to me. After that, we have KD to the Suns. And that new ownership came in on fire. I know that it's two brothers. They're multi-billionaires in some mortgage company. He came in as a tone setter, and I think he screwed it up. So KD to the Suns for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, pick swaps, and 4 first-round picks. Before we jump into anything else here, Jay Crowder also went to the Bucks, and the Bucks traded 5 second-round picks to get Jay Crowder. I just want to ask you guys, the KD move to the Suns, good trade, bad trade in your opinion?
That is high risk, high reward. That is you're trying to win. That's a win now move is what it is. I mean, I mean, I don't know what else you can say. Like if they don't win it this year, that's, like that thing's going to fall apart on itself next year.
I just can't believe they did. It just blows my mind.
No, it's about winning this year. Vince is absolutely right. It's about winning right now. And because I don't think you can bring back Chris Paul. He looks aged. He's just not as good. He's an older player. He's still an assist leader, but he's just not the same scorer. He's regressed a little bit. And that's, he's still great. He's still a great player. But that's like, we got to win it right now because Kevin Durant, he's getting older. How many more years do you have with Kevin Durant and Chris Paul? Your window is this year and maybe next year if you can, if everything goes well.
Yep. I don't think it's a good trade, in my opinion.
But if they don't win it, it's like
that's what I'm saying. If they don't,
sorry,
how many? I know they've never had a Kevin Durant. I know they've never had a Kevin Durant, but Chris Paul's never made it to the finals in his whole career.
Oh, he did once. He did once.
That's right.
Phoenix went to a couple years ago. Yeah.
That's right. But Mikal Bridges, 3-and-D. If you look at in the dictionary for 3-and-D, Mikal Bridges' face is there. I mean, that guy wreaks havoc defensively and can shoot the lights out. Cam Johnson was their youngest talent that I think had the biggest future out of all of their young talent on there. Obviously, Jay Crowder, I didn't even see the floor this year. He was trying to get traded no matter what. But man, 4 first-round picks? Like, I don't know. So my stepdad lives in Arizona, and the sentiment that he's hearing out there, a lot of Phoenix fans are not particularly happy. I mean, they're happy they got Kevin Durant, generational player, but they think that they maybe overpaid to get Kevin Durant, and I'm willing to agree that they did. But to your point, if they win, it's all water under the bridge anyways, right? So it doesn't really matter.
Water under the Mikal Bridges?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be interesting. The Nets definitely, they came up big. I think the Nets, now you have another formidable team in the East. So is the power shifting from the West to the East? No, but I think you got some pretty solid talent going in the East there between the 76ers, Boston, still even Toronto's in there, and then you throw in the Nets as well too. So
I still think it's Milwaukee and Boston.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not ready to write out 76ers. They've been sneaky good and kind of under the radar, which is kind of weird for a big market team. They've just been hovering around.
It seemed like it was like that last year.
Yeah, and then they ran into Boston, and Boston destroyed them.
That's actually, why I'm like,
yeah. Well, that's the reason why Boston went to the finals and not the.
Hey, we said it last year. We wouldn't be surprised if Boston won it this year, and I'm still still look really good.
Yeah. So jumping into it now. So I know I said Jay Crowder was to the Bucks for 5 second-round picks. The Warriors made their own trade Wiseman to Detroit for 5 second-round picks. I don't understand.
Second-round picks are lotto tickets. That's what they are.
We ended up getting Kevin Knox in the trade, which that ultimately got flipped to the Blazers, who we got GP2 back for Kevin Knox and 5 second-round picks. Before you guys give me your insight here, this has been the weirdest trade deadline to me. I think it's been a lot of teams trading for players that they already had, with GP2 going back to the Warriors. John Wall gets traded back to the Rockets. Spencer Dinwiddie goes back to the Nets. And then D'Angelo Russell gets traded back to the Lakers. It's been a really odd trade deadline for me.
Yeah, cue the Eminem, because guess who's back again, right? I mean,
wait, I thought John Wall was already on the Rockets.
No, he was on the Clippers. He signed with the Clippers this year, and then they just traded him. My thought on this is that they're trying to get Westbrook, if Westbrook is to get bought out by Utah, because they don't need him in Utah. They've got Mitchell there, so there's no need. So not Mitchell. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on the point guard. But anyways,
Conley?
they don't need him.
Oh no,
there,
I thought Conley was part of that package.
Yeah, everything's changed.
Everything changed. Wasn't
well?
I could have
the sentiment is that
deal.
Westbrook is going to get bought out by Utah. So my thought process is that the Clippers. I know they got Eric Gordon from the Rockets in this trade, but relieving John Wall removes that contract. And there's been a lot of talk that the Clippers are interested in getting Westbrook. And so if he gets bought out, I think John Wall being moved was to make room for Westbrook if that happens. So that's my hypothetical.
Westbrook,
yeah,
Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George.
Yeah, 3 guys that are ball dominant, so that should be fun.
Yeah, Mike Conley went to the Timberwolves.
Oh, okay.
To get D'Angelo Russell to the Lakers.
That's right.
Damn. But GP2's back.
I was going to ask you, how are you guys feeling about GP2 being back on the roster there?
I'm stoked.
Yeah, me too.
I'm stoked.
I know that you're not quite as huge of a fan of the deal itself.
No.
But I'll explain why I think that they not only why they made the deal, but why I think it'll work is because you traded a non-rotation player for a rotation player, basically is what happened. I mean, you made some extra stuff in the middle to happen, but basically you sent Wiseman to Detroit and you got GP2 back. And so GP2 already knows the system as well. Instead of incorporating somebody new, you get somebody who is already familiar and can jump right in without missing a beat, hopefully. And
GP2 was playing with the starting unit and the second unit and was making contributions. I mean, he was hitting those corner threes. He was playing locked out defense. Whether he was next to, Steph, or when he was with Jordan Poole, he was playing great defense and he was hitting shots and he was able to play much bigger. We seen him, down low, playing guys that were 5 times bigger than him.
And the other part about it is for the owner's side, why Joe Lacob likes this deal is he saves $7 million this year, and he saves $30 million next year on the luxury tax. And so that's why that's a huge reason why, because James Wiseman was more expensive than GP2,
right,
but not as good as GP2 right now. Right. Not as useful in the system. So that's why
about trading away Wiseman is I think now in retrospect, I think this was a Lacob pick. I think this might be the draft pick where Lacob really wanted Wiseman, and maybe there was other people on the board that everybody else wanted. But he wasn't going to play. He wasn't getting any minutes, and it was unfortunately time for Wiseman to, move on. It's probably best for him too. He's going to get playing time. I think they already announced he was starting.
So my before I jump into my take on the whole Wiseman thing, I just want to quote Anthony Slater, who tweeted out that the Warriors needed a creative route, but it is essentially a James Wiseman for Gary Payton II swap. Sources confirm, sounds like the deal's done, which it already is. Attached to tax savings, Wiseman's $9.6 million this year, $12.1 million next year versus GP2's $8.3 million this year and $8.7 million next season. So I did say earlier that I feel like we overpaid. Obviously, now that I'm looking at the money, we didn't overpay. I will say that we did overpay for GP2 because the contract that we came in with him in the offseason was lower than the $8.7 million that he got per year.
Right. But we couldn't have paid him that in the offseason because we had the Wiseman contract as well.
Right.
So yeah.
My tinfoil hat, I'm putting it on here. Why Wiseman didn't play the last 2 weeks. He was fully healthy. He could have played. There's plenty of games where I think they could have used a big center and they only used him in the most garbage of garbage times. My tinfoil hat says that he was going to always be traded and they didn't want him to get hurt because you can't move a hurt player. So I think that's unfortunate. I think that Wiseman is yet to have a chance to be able to prove himself. I know he had injuries, some being unforeseen with the whole COVID sickness and the things of that nature. But
I mean, if this team didn't have Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and you were not a championship team, you probably ride it out and hope that the lottery pays out, 3, 4, 5 years later, you keep him on that whatever rookie contract he's on. But I think the situation is you got Steph, Clay, and Draymond and Wiggins, and you gotta win, and Looney, you gotta win now. So I think They just, if they were a worse team, they would have probably wrote it out. But because of the championship DNA, you gotta go.
This could be, however you guys want to construe it, but Steph, Andre, and Draymond have all been on record saying that, and you've also said it in our podcast too, that it's not always the player that fails the organization. Sometimes it's the organization that fails the player. And I think, I hate to say it, we like to think of our organization as the top tier because it is, but I think in this scenario, I think we did fail Wiseman. I mean, we tried to get coaches for him, but what good did that do us? I think we wasted money in that avenue.
Just because you're a top tier organization doesn't mean you're immune from mistakes,
Exactly.
I mean, there's just a lot of things that the center position for the Warriors plays differently, and last year and part of his rookie year, he flashed in certain ways that looked really great. But it's all in the ways that the Warriors don't use their center, so I just don't think it was the right mix to begin with. In retrospect, I think we all hoped, and I think the Warriors hoped, but to say that I definitely think the Warriors have some blame in letting him down. It's a hard thing to play in this system, but I just thought there was times where you could kind of see the chemistry of the team, and it looks like some of the coaching didn't really want him on the floor, and just he wasn't part of the rotation, and they just weren't responding, and it sucks for James. I think we were all hoping that he would be amazing here, and I'm still rooting for him. I hope he gets really good, because that would be definitely an awesome story. We're like, man, we're glad that he developed into the amazing player that he can be. I wish it was here, but I don't think he's going to get there without this trade. He's not going to get time. And the number one thing he needs reps with an NBA team against NBA talent. Like, he needs a real shot.
Yeah, I think the thing that puzzles me now when I look at this whole situation is, why did we go out of our way this offseason to hire Jokic's old coach? Because clearly he's a centers coach. Why did we bring him aboard? It just doesn't make any sense at this point.
Well, I think they tried. I think that's part of them trying. As an elite organization, you're trying to make it work. You're trying anything. You're throwing shit on the wall and seeing what sticks. And unfortunately, it didn't work out.
I mean, what do you do?
It didn't stick,
I mean, as an organization, you say, we got the MVP's coach. Like, I don't know, like who, like it was the better choice to get the second best centers coach. Like, what coach?
Well, that coach was
James Wiseman's success.
But the thing is that he was never around the team enough to even be able to be coached by him. He was always in Santa Cruz, or when he was up here, he never got to apply whatever he got to practice. So I think my thing too was that we looked at Kuminga and we're like, oh man, this guy's rough around the edges. Like, we thought he was going to be the generational talent, and then he looks kind of rough. And now he's showing us that with playtime that he is what we thought he was going to be. And there's still plenty of room to grow for him. So I think Wiseman just didn't get that same opportunity. Again, centers aren't really played as a focal point in this Warriors offense. I mean, we can go all the way back to Bogut. Bogut was not a focal point on the offense, but he was more of a tone setting, play first or pass first a center. So
honestly, I think what it was is you see it on the floor in game day. He doesn't really have a motor, dude. Like, he's not, and I'm not saying like he needs to be a dog like Draymond and blah, but there's not really, like, there just never seemed like there was motivation on the court. And like, even when he flashed, it was just kind of like the relying on that athletic ability. But it just seems like to me, whenever I would watch him play, there was never like action plays. Kuminga, you see the effort. Poole, you see the effort, and there's like stupid mistakes that they still make. The traveling and the kicking the ball out of the bounds all the time. We still see those mistakes. And I think that was showing up in practice, that he was just ho-hum, like the same pace, and I just think that's a personality trait. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just think there's more to the picture than what we see, and it's more than just getting playing time.
So
like these coaches are not in San Francisco while he's in Santa Cruz. That coach is traveling. These coaches travel with James Wiseman.
So my argument to that is that the Warriors tried out Anthony Edwards, and there's the famous story that Anthony Edwards was just ho-humming up and down the court in practice, and Steve Kerr told him at dinner, dude, you look like you had no effort. You know, if you want to be in this league and you want to play for the Warriors, I need to see more effort. And that changed Anthony Edwards' whole perception. So my thing is that they vetted Wiseman the same way they vetted Anthony Edwards. They made that decision.
I said it earlier. That's why I think this is a Joe Lacob put his foot down and said, I want James Wiseman. You know,
it's tough. It's a tough call.
I cannot wait for the tell-all book in like 10 years.
Yeah. Well,
that's when we're really going to get the answer.
We touched on it last week, and I said we were going to save it for this week, but I think this is a better time than ever. I think it also might be the reason why Bob Myers hasn't signed his extension. You know, and it's not like they've thrown one at him; they've thrown multiple at him. You know, it's been on the record that Joe Lacob has thrown a couple at him, and he doesn't want to do it. He's looking at himself in the mirror. He said he loves his job, but does this bring him the happiness? Which tells me, I think there's some kind of rift between the front office decision making and what Bob Myers does decision making. And I think that Bob Myers really needs to reflect on whether or not he wants to stay with the Warriors organization. So is the Wiseman thing the direct correlation? It could be. You know, we're just making, uneducated guesses, more or less, just, off the seat of our pants. But I think that might be why.
I could definitely see that, Bob Myers he going to eat for free in this part of the town, in the world. He's going to eat for free here. He's the architect of a lot of these decisions, and this season's still not over. We don't know how this is going to pan out. It's going to be really exciting to see what this Golden State Warriors team does moving forward. There's still half a season left, or a third left after the break. So they're still going to be really exciting to watch. I don't think they're throwing in the towel. I think, to me, this is you're getting somebody who's going to give you minutes and give you quality minutes. There's going to be nights when all your players are benched for rest or injury or whatever, and GP2 is going to be the third best player on the floor. And in the past, he's shown that. You're going to have the Dante DiVincenzo and GP2 and your boy, what's his name, Tyler.
So they're on two-way contracts. So it's actually, I'm kind of curious as to how Anthony Lamb and Ty Jerome are going to play out, because they've played a lot this season and only allowed to play a certain amount of games, and then have to either be signed and then cut. If they get cut, they can go anywhere by any team, or they can get repicked back up on a two-way
contract. And they ended up keeping him. So,
well, they cut GP2 and then signed him.
But I'm saying, like,
they cut him and said, "Hey, don't go anywhere." Yeah, this is what happened there. Yeah.
So there's still a lot left. So I actually, it sucks that James Wiseman didn't work out here, but I'm also really excited that we get a player that plays lockdown defense, can hit the three. Maybe there's a spark in the locker room. Maybe
that's
it does
exactly
something
the
to
word.
This team. Now it feels like the real season. We wanted him. He wanted to be here. Let's go. That's how I see it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I said I have no issues with GP2 coming back to the Warriors. I just think what we had to give up for it, maybe to me, feels like a little bit much. But I think if the Draymond situation with Poole was kind of the down point of the locker room, I think GP2 is the start of the healing process to make this team better than what it was before.
So I'm doing a standings check on the Warriors right now. They're sitting in ninth. They're 9.5 games back of the Nuggets, who are in first. But the Dallas Mavericks, they're in fourth right now, and they're 8 games back. So the Warriors are just a game and a half back of the 4 seed. We had talked about that before, how we wanted the Warriors to, by the end of the year, figure it out and get up to the 4th seed. That is well within reach. The Kings are 3.5 games up
Light the
in the
beam.
3 seed. So I mean, yeah, I mean the Kings are playing phenomenal, and I don't know if the Warriors are gonna catch them, as far as record wise, but that could be a lot of fun.
I want you to just listen to what you just said there.
I know it's ridiculous, right? I can't believe I said it.
I don't know
Mike Brown's
if the
got
Warriors
them
going
boys
to catch the Kings.
I mean, in terms of record, I mean, I think the Warriors would still beat the Kings in a series, but as far as the record, I mean, it's 3.5 games. It is catchable. It is doable, but I don't know. They're playing really well. So that's all. Again, that's all I'm saying. They're playing out of their mind. It's still ridiculous. I can't believe I said it myself. But
there's no knock on the Kings. I'm super happy for them. It's just a weird hyperbole of a situation.
Yeah. The Warriors are 3.5 games out of the 3 seed right now, as it stands. That's the only point I'm making. They're still very much in it, and they can get. I think if the Warriors get into the
playoffs, anything above the play-in game, like, you don't want to face them in a series. I think they could steal. All of a sudden, they could revert back, steal a couple of games on the road, and you're gone. So in a series, yeah, I would not be surprised if they somehow ran the table again. I just would not be surprised. Once they get into the playoffs,
I also think
and then with GP2, we've lost so many games because of like people not playing defense, or you're just like, poor decision, when Curry threw the ball out of bounds, I know that, but there's just been so many mistakes that this team has made, and many of them are defensively.
I also want to point out that Vince is underselling how crazy the West is. I know he's saying how far we are from disparity from first and second and third, but literally the West changes in jockey's position on a nightly basis. I mean, the Warriors and 15 other teams are only separated by a game and a half, damn near every single one of them. So it changes on a nightly basis.
No one's running away.
Yeah. The Lakers are only, it looks like 3 games back of the Warriors. They're sitting in 13th. Okay. So from 13 to 6 to third place, 3rd to 13th, you're looking at 6.5 games separate 3rd from 13th. The West is extremely tight, and get your booty holes ready, because they're gonna pucker, buddy. Like, this is gonna be a dogfight all the way to the end, and I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're gonna say a team's gonna run with it, Celtics are running away in the East with the Bucks and the Sixers. So those 3 teams are what we pointed out. Shout out to the Cavs, because they're making it a hell of an effort this year. They look like a great team, but really those top 3 teams are going to be who are coming out of the East. If you're going to say a team's running with it in the West, the Nuggets, the Nuggets, that's about it. But everything else, good luck. Put on your fucking hard hat, because it's going to be a long season.
I can't wait for the Warriors to play the Grizzlies in a rematch, and then the Warriors just dog their asses again. Oh, I would love that.
I think ever since Morant came out and said that he's not scared of the West, I think they've won 4 games. And that was like a month and a half ago. They've lost a considerable amount of games.
They're 2-8 in their last 10. Yeah, it's bad. And their away record, they're 11 wins, 16 losses on the road. So they're doing all of their wins at home. Like, they're 22-5 at home. But if you drop one of those games at home, you're fucked, buddy. They need to basically win out at home and hope they stumble into a win or 2 on the road in the playoffs. And that shit just does not happen. I think the Grizzlies are fraudulent. That's right.
Well, Dylan Brooks is.
If we had an alarm, like a fraudulent alarm or something, we'll work on that on the back end, I think. I don't know. Tim, take notes.
Did you guys see Dylan Brooks this last week? Or I'm sorry, Dick Brooks? Did you guys see him this week?
No.
So Memphis comes into Cleveland, and Dylan Brooks, being Dylan Brooks, he clearly goes up for a layup, doesn't get called for a foul, and Donovan Mitchell is next to him. And as he turns around while laying on the ground, this is Dylan Brooks laying on the ground, turns around and then just swings his arm in a closed fist straight up and hits Donovan Mitchell in the dick. Then Donovan Mitchell throws the ball at him, and a big old fight breaks out after that. So as long as they got, that guy on the team, I'll flirt into
it. Clearly he punched him in the nuts.
Oh, yeah.
It was clearly he did this on purpose.
Hawk shot.
I did see that. Yeah.
I'll flirt into Memphis Grizzlies, Reddit once in a while and just kind of peek and see what's going around. Dillon Brooks is not liked even by the fans of Memphis. So I don't know what to tell you, man. That whole team is chaotic. And then you got John Morant and his homie squad bringing guns to the arena, and he wants to live this life of being a thug, and Shannon Sharp has to, bark him back down. So it's crazy. That the whole scenario with Memphis, if you want to be a big team that wants to talk, do it on the court. Because right now you ain't doing nothing else. So last thing before we jump into the last bit of a news we got going on here. LeBron James breaks Kareem Abdul's record for the all-time scoring. Congratulations, LeBron. May not be the favorite in this part of town, but hell, a record to be broken.
Recognize great. Yeah.
That is, absolute greatness right there. So even though it counted into Westbrook getting into an argument with the head coach at halftime, then getting traded, and then they also lost in overtime. So anyways, good with the bad. Last bit of news. We are touching on the old Wrexham update. So Wrexham last week was going in the fourth round of the FA Cup. They tied Sheffield 3-3, did the replay match. I got to watch the whole thing. It was a pretty good match until it wasn't a good match in like the last 7 minutes of the pitch game there. So Paul Mullen gets the go ahead score to go 1-0 on a penalty kick. Then Wrexham gives up another one here, so it's tied 1-1. Then the most blunders play I've ever seen. They kick the ball back to the defender, and instead of him just corralling the ball, does some weird thing with his foot and then just kicks it backwards to the other player, and then that's how they score to the go-ahead goal to go 2-1. And then at that point, all the wheels came off, and then Sheffield scored another goal to make it 3-1 and effectively put that game away. But good on Wrexham for at least making it that far. ESPN2 put that game on a national league, soccer club. That's the craziest thing. You got to thank Hollywood for that. So they still have a chance to win their division, I guess, and move up to the European Football League 2. So we'll keep you updated as we go.
The goal. Yep.
Yeah, they're still behind Notts County, but we'll keep you updated and we'll let you know as the time goes on here.
Yeah, so. The top four, the first place will advance automatically, and then they'll be in a playoff between the lower six teams for the last three spots or whatever it is. So still very much alive for that.
Yep, absolutely. So you guys got anything for the wonderful Thursday/Friday morning for those of you who are listening?
No, I'm good, man.
All right, guys. Well, wherever you guys listen to your podcasting, make sure to listen to us at SVT Podcast. Subscribe on our YouTube. Hit the bell to get the alerts when we post new episodes. You can follow us on Instagram and or Twitter at SVT Sports Pod. Slide into our DMs. We would love to interact with you.
That's right. And listen twice.
Yeah, definitely listen twice.
Yeah.
And smash it twice.
That's right.
All right, fellas. Well, you guys have a good night.
All right. Good night. And go Eagles, but also go Chiefs.